This video is going to be a film study look at Sam Laporta and how much impact he had in the Lions' 33-28 win over the Saints on Sunday. Look, this is going to be an extensive number of plays because I think he had that much impact. I'm going to try to separate his impact into three elements or three aspects. Number one, I have read some things that characterized his performance in Week 13 as a career day. I would caution that it's not, because I think he's going to have multiple days of 10, 12, or even 14 catches, 120, 130 plus yards, and 2 touchdowns. He didn't have 2 touchdowns on Sunday, but my point is, this is not a career day, 9 catches, 140 yards. What he did during the course of the 60 minutes is remarkable, if you ask me. I believe he played 47 out of the 55 offensive snaps. The touchdown strike from Jared Goff in the first quarter is the play that'll get the most attention, for sure. But I like how he's being utilized in the run game, and it illustrates to me how much Ben Johnson and the staff trust him. And so I mean trust him from the standpoint of being able to be used at the point of attack on run concepts that seem to be intentional. Additionally, he had multiple third down catches against the Saints man coverage, a few times where he was held or there was a lot of contact, let's put it that way, but he still makes his break. He almost reminds me of like a big power forward in basketball that isn't bothered by contact on his way to the basket. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but his catches are tough and clutch, if you ask me. And Jared Goff was really good on third down, particularly in that fourth quarter, I thought. I just thought it was a sick overall performance from a tight end who's 22 years old. For me, I'm comfortable calling him a hybrid tight end at this point. Seeing him line up at receiver, I have seen him line up at receiver enough at this point for me to feel comfortable saying he could play wide receiver more often. We'll get to the film here in a minute, but again, like I said, he played 47 out of 55 offensive snaps. I'm actually not going to start this film study with any of his receptions. I'm going to start it with him being used as a blocker, particularly on Jameson Williams' 19-yard touchdown on the double reverse in the fourth quarter that put the Lions up 33-21. Additionally, I want to break down the stats just for a moment. Jared Goff was 16 of 25 overall. I believe he was 9 of 9 targeting Laporta. Now, there is one incomplete in there where a DB was called for a hold. So officially, statistically, 9 for 9 targeting Sam Laporta. Otherwise, yesterday, Goff was 7 of 16 throwing to everybody else. I think Johnson trusts him because of the third down targets, putting him in the read side out in third down. You want to run out of the I formation, he'll give you that too. At least on Sunday he did. And then the double reverse, the touchdown to Jameson Williams, which was exciting to watch, number one. Number two, it was incredible. It was incredible to see the explosiveness and the burst down the field that I thought was partially made possible by Sam Laporta and the design, clearly. Khalif Raymond's been used on a number of reverses before, so great design to get him as part of the initial reverse. Goff actually kind of helps out a little bit with the guy that Laporta is blocking, who's a big, strong defensive end. And Laporta's not physically dominating him, but he's able to get his hips to the inside. Now, that defensive end has got him locked out, don't get me wrong. But Laporta stays with it, and then once he gets to the inside, Laporta knows this is savvy in the middle of the play, adjusting. He knows where the ball is going to go. The defensive end understands his job is to force the ball inside. So he's doing his job getting to the correct leverage side. Laporta and then Goff are just going to take him where he wants to go. Additionally, great job downfield by the offensive line as well. Like I said, put the Lions up 33-21. Is it a pancake block by Laporta? Well, no. It's telling, if you ask me, that Ben Johnson called this play back to his side, and that's my overall point. You see a consistent theme with the way he was used yesterday in the run game at the point of attack in a multiple and versatile way. Get to the touchdown now. Second possession, I believe this one puts him up 14-0. It's a strike from Goff. It's a cool design using St. Brown's gravity to pull the frontside inside linebacker. I like the route. It's almost like that route that Tyreek Hill's running. You know, Sam Laporta's not Tyreek Hill, but he's going to bring this back inside. They're going to let the first receiver cross the linebacker's face. This is the bait, if you ask me. St. Brown. Goff just reading through it, sees Reynolds get passed through, taken over by the backside linebacker and the free safety, and he's already pulling the pin on the grenade. Goff. He already sees the opening in the middle of the field. It's not just about trust. I mean, people say, he trusts Laporta, he trusts St. Brown. Yeah, that's true. However, it's the read. He's got the read, and Laporta hasn't even cleared this linebacker yet. Goff is already throwing the football because he's read the coverage perfectly. It was a banner day in terms of clutch throws on third down. By the way, that's a 3rd and 6. Again, they go up 14-0 there and eventually go up 21-0. Okay, so I'm going to get to his usage in what I call spread I. 11 personnel. This is 5th possession, and he's lined up at fullback. Now, did he have any crunching, overwhelmingly physical blocks out of this formation, out of this set? No, but he's clearly being used as the cutback lead guy. So I initially called it a split zone type look. I think I even referred to it that way in the reaction video. Because it's 11 personnel, meaning 3 receivers and then 1 tight end and 1 running back, in this case Montgomery, the Saints are locked into their 4-2-5 in the box. 4-2-5. Well, technically, this is the nickel defender, Alontae Taylor, and that's the other inside linebacker, 45, walking out of the box. And you can see the cutback lane. It's completely designed to come back into that space that the motion is vacating. It's Sewell, number 45, who's playing inside linebacker, but in this particular play, he's a stand-up and 9 technique, outside linebacker, if you will, in a 5-1 look. Laporta goes and gets the mic. This is easy. I suspect that later on in the game, this may have been a check for Goff. When they got to this formation, they ran at least 3 plays out of it, one of which was not successful later on. Again, I'm illustrating the usage of Laporta on a day when he had 9 catches and 140 yards, including multiple third down catches. He's also being asked to be used at fullback. I think this is extraordinary. As good as you, as a Lions, probably only Lions fans listening this long, as good as you think he is, as good as I think he is, he's probably better. Because he's doing all these things on the same day. Oh, by the way, a day when Amon-Ra St. Brown only had 2 catches. Later on in the game, same formation, 4th quarter. They actually ran this one more time with him back there, so 11 personnel. This is one that Gibbs almost busts for a touchdown. Early 4th quarter. This is the first play after the fumble on the toss by Derek Carr. D-tackle flashes across his face. You would think that he'd be, leading through this gap here. As it stands, 99 flashes across his face. So he pulls up and goes and gets that D-tackle. And he gets knocked back, don't get me wrong. But the usage, to me, is what is interesting, that he's been used at fullback before. I think it's interesting and extraordinary that he's being used as a fullback on the same day when he had 9 catches on 9 targets, including 2 of over 28 yards, one of which I'll show you here in a moment. I don't know, maybe I'm making too much of it, but for a 22-year-old tight end who was drafted in the 2nd round on a day when the best player on offense, Amon-Ra St. Brown, only had 2 catches, I think this is amazing to see the usage be so widespread. Later on, this is late 4th quarter, 7.5 minutes left. Lions are not able to get a first down on this possession. This is spread I, 11 personnel. He's at fullback again. And the screen to Gibbs. Now, it's a great play. The Saints happen to be in that same look that I described earlier. So they've got the other inside linebacker, Sewell, walked up in a 5-1 look, but they've moved Tyrann Mathieu up into the box, basically creating a 3-4, old school 5-2-50, whatever you want to call it, where this is the strong safety, except it's nickel personnel defensively for the Saints. So that's the nickel. They've just walked Tyrann Mathieu up to replace the inside linebacker. Great job by 45, getting upfield and then staying with the screen. You can see that if he's handled, if 45 is handled, or he's not as prescient in terms of being in the play, this is going to go for big yards. You've got an offensive lineman up for Mathieu up at the top of the field, a seal here, and another offensive lineman going here. This is going to be a huge play. Great job by 45. Ends up going down as a 6-yard loss. Our focus here is Laporta and how he's been used. I intentionally chose to focus on these plays first, where he's used as a blocker. Go back to the 2nd possession. I showed you the all-22 of this one earlier. You'll see the end zone angle here of the 2nd possession. 13-yard touchdown on 3rd and 6. You can see the opening that's created by Reynolds going through first. You don't get him here. He's down at the bottom right of our screen, so he's already passed through. And then St. Brown being covered up by the inside linebacker, Davis. So you get an idea of what the window looked like, even though from the end zone angle, you don't see it occur because we're behind the defense. This one's really cool. 2nd and 10. This is third possession. This is right before the touchdown to St. Brown, 25-yard touchdown, one of his 2 catches. Over concept from the top side of the field, boundary. He's lined up as a receiver. I mean, even though he's in a tight split, it's still a receiver position. He's lined up as the X. I literally think he could line up as X 10 to 12 times a game, and the Lions are going to be able to get consistent usage out of him. They've dropped Matthew in the box again in the nickel set. Here's the nickel, number 1, Taylor. The remaining 2 safeties back here. And you can see he's cleared the linebacker level, the second level of the defense. Goff is already pulling the pin on the grenade, going to throw it out in front of Laporta. Great hands, and then breaks a tackle. You're talking about a tight end who makes big plays in the pass game, and then he breaks tackles. He did stuff like that against, I believe, earlier in the year against the Seahawks, and I think one against the Panthers as well. I may be misremembering that one. End zone angle, same play. He's off screen to our right. Again, this is 2nd and 10, third possession. It's a zone relationship. It's not man. You can see that he's been released by Matthew, who covered the underneath route. Catches it in between 3 guys, breaks a tackle. I thought he was going to break this one. I really did. I thought it seems to me there was a similar play against the Falcons and or the Panthers early in the year, but nonetheless, 29-yard gain. Same guy that lined up at fullback is making catches for a 29-yard gain. Late second quarter, this one is a crucial possession if you ask me. The Saints have started to move the football. They scored. Lions lead is cut to 21-7. This is a 2nd and 16. And Laporta on this little Z-under concept that they run a lot with him lined up as the outside receiver. Essentially, he's going underneath of the vertical release by the slot. Debo, who's a damn good defender, I thought played really well, is trailing behind him. I think they've caught the Saints in some type of quarters coverage. But in any case, he gets 11 yards on that 2nd and 16, sets up a 3rd and 5 where, oh, by the way, Goff goes to him again, this time for 14. And this is man coverage. I'm not sure who this safety is. The broadcast angle did a great job of showing the view behind the offense and showing that, when Goff, first of all, Goff initially was looking over here. I'll pull this film back. He's initially looking back over to this side, and he sees that St. Brown is covered on this kind of return out from his motion, his outside in motion. He's covered. So Goff comes back to Laporta up at the top side, and there's a little bit of pressure. I think I'll show you the end zone angle here in a moment. Laporta is bringing this back to the inside, perfectly placed by Goff, 14 yards. This was a crucial possession, if you ask me, because they were able to go down and get a field goal, make it 24-7 at the half, and we all know what happened to the defense in the second half. Needed all of those points. Laporta's on the right-hand side of the screen. I'm not sure who 31 is, but you definitely had a hold a moment ago. He just got soft hands on the back here, but Goff, a little bit of pressure from his left side, throws it out in front, diving catch, Laporta, 14 yards. 2nd and 16, 11 yards to Laporta. 3rd and 5, 14 yards to Laporta. Couple of plays later, after the 2-minute warning, if you don't believe me how much they trust him and how much Ben Johnson intentionally used him at the point of attack on some of these run plays, here he is in this bunch set, faking the counter to Gibbs, reverse coming right. This is the amazing play by Debo, their corner, who's just really underrated. I didn't think he covered great yesterday. Throughout the whole course of the game, I thought the Lions got a lot of things done against him, but this is set up. O-lineman's unable to go get Debo. Laporta's going to fold back onto 31, which is the right move. I think his instincts are amazing, and that's another thing to mention about Laporta is that across multiple locations on the field, in the middle of the play, his instincts are usually right. He's a special football player and talent on a team that has, at least 2 of them, one on offense and one on defense. All right, so we'll move forward to the fourth quarter. I think this is late third quarter, 9th possession. It's a 26-21. This possession, leads to a 26-21 lead for the Lions. It's 24-21 at this point. Laporta for 48 yards up the right side. Must have been something in the coverage that they knew when they got 2 running backs on the field. Gibbs in the back, Gibbs motioning across, Montgomery here in the backfield, that motion across is going to pull Tyrann Mathieu down. You'll see he's lined up at like 8 yards, 9 yards depth on the motion across, spinning down. Number 1 is being carried by the corner. Gibbs has occupied Tyrann Mathieu. and the linebacker releases him. I mean, all of these guys are in zone relationship here. I don't think that's the linebacker's fault. I'll be completely honest with you. I think it's something between the corner, Adebo, and Matthew in terms of one of those guys being able to cover it. It looked to me like you had zone relationship by the nickel and the two remaining inside linebackers. Nonetheless, brilliantly designed play. Give you the end zone angle, 48 yards. Even if you take that 48-yard reception away, he still has 8 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown yesterday. End zone angle, you see Matthew creeping up on the right-hand side of your screen. The motion seemed to be something that Ben Johnson used as bait for the Saints defense. I thought Laporta was damn near getting ready to score on that one. That was an important possession. Again, I mistakenly said 26-21. I think it was actually 27-21 after that field goal. They get the touchdown by Jamison Williams, make it 33-21. Saints get a score, 33-28. This is late fourth quarter. Of course, the game-sealing pass from Goff to Josh Reynolds was amazing. I'll do a video about Goff's performance on third down, but this is a 3rd and 7, preceded that. About 2:50 left in the game. You've got man. I think this ball was thrown a little bit behind where Laporta is heading. I'll give you the end zone angle in a moment. You guys let me know if you think I'm overstating how well he played. You got man free, which is what the Saints like to use on third down. So we talked about in the preview. Tyrann Mathieu playing the low hole position, so he's helping out on the under by St. Brown. And Goff has gone through that progression, knows where his matchup is, and Laporta won all day long. Maybe the Saints are bad at covering tight ends, and this is going to be his career day. I don't think so. I think you've got multiple 10, 12 catch days in his future, probably soon. Because if you, haven't looked at all the coverage plays yet, it seems to me as if St. Brown was a guy the Saints were going to make sure wasn't going to beat him, like you see here. And Goff just said, okay, I'll go to my next best guy, who on a lot of teams would be the best guy, even at 22 years old. Let me know if you think I'm overstating how well he played. And if I showed too many plays, when I looked at the folder setting up for this video tonight, I was like, am I really going to show this many plays? Yeah, I think Ben Johnson had Sam Laporta as a huge part of the game plan in the pass game, in the run game, used as a blocker, I should say. He seemingly can do everything. Never seen him run the football from the backfield, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's a tight end reverse at some point. You guys, let me know what you think of the video, the plays I picked to show how impactful he was, not just in the pass game, but across multiple locations on the field, multiple concepts. To me, a week ago, maybe last Monday and Tuesday, Ben Johnson's designing a game plan, and I think if they had 10 boxes there for what they were focused on trying to do, I think 4 or 5 of those boxes offensively involve Sam Laporta, because it seemed to me to be very intentional trying to get him the football with some adaptations by Goff in terms of, like that last play I showed you. St. Brown is covered, or double covered, some would say. Let me get the ball to my next best guy, Laporta, who just continues to win those matchups when he's completely healthy. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this film study look at Sam Laporta and how he played in Sunday's win against the Saints, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.